Hey, 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 hey. Lo, 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 lo. How to color art? For chef.
If you're having trouble finding the exact color for shading, you can try this instead. Have your base colors, or the colors it would be if it's in light. Then add a new layer and clip it to the base colors. Then set the blending mode to multiply. Choose the tone for your shadow. Then use the fill tool to fill the entire layer. Depending on how intense you want your lighting to be, you can adjust the opacity.
If you select the entire photo and with generate a fill, type in
Here, good boy. All right. What's up, guys? If your reaction to having to color your drawings is anything similar to that, you need help. And I am here to help. Please excuse my appearance. I just finished this tattoo yesterday and I'm trying not to have anything touch it. I'm sorry. Now in today's video, I'd like to teach you a little bit about how to color your art. We'll be using some of my favorite methods, working in a semi-realistic style. And just so you guys know, I have a tiny brain. It's very small, it's very smooth. So I like to break down my processes and make them as simple as possible so that absolutely anybody can follow along. Even you. Yes, you, sitting on the toilet right now, taking a dump. Don't think I can't smell you. That is disgusting. So with that being said, let's dive right in. I've even got notes for today's video. Look at that. Actually, don't look at it. It's very messy. As always, before you start any drawing, make sure you have a reference for what you want to draw. In today's case, Sam does man. First, identify the style that you want. Do you want to do flat colors? Do you want to do cell shading? Do you want something semi-realistic? Or do you want to do something hyper-realistic? In that case, I'm sorry, but you've lost your mind. And that's coming from someone who already has no sanity. So the first thing I try to do is I break it down, all right? I start from the big to the small. I want you to take a look at this beautiful man here and ask yourself, what is the main color that you see in this composition, aside from the blue sky? Well, for me, you see, the first color I would start with is the color of his skin, the skin in light, this color right here. So once you've identified your main color, go through your hues, find that color, that orangish color. Now I know a lot of you guys might have a hard time finding the right colors, just like how you have a hard time finding grass to touch. Don't you worry, I've got a little trick for that. So you click on this icon here and bring up this eyedropper tool. I want you to take this eyedropper tool and run it over some of the areas where you see that main color. Now go and visit your color picker. Couple things to pay attention to here. Where does this color sit on the hue spectrum, which is this slider down here? Where does it sit on the saturation spectrum, which is this slider right here? And where does that color sit on the value spectrum, which means how light or how dark that color is? So going back to the eyedropper tool with the color on the arm, we can observe that it is an orange color, medium saturation, and very light in terms of value, which makes sense because he's in sunlight. Now, when you're working, try not to use that color directly from the reference from the eyedropper tool. Try to find that color yourself. Play around with your colors, see if it looks right. This will be a great challenge and a really good learning opportunity. Just to make my life a little bit easier, I am selecting the overall shape of this character and I'm gonna just fill the whole thing in with my base color. Now, if you're wondering, where are all the shadows? Where are all the soft transitions? Patience, my son. This is step number one. Remember that we are working from big to small. So now we're going to get a little bit smaller. We're going to try to look for the other smaller flat colors that are here, which will be the hair, the black hair, and the white shirt. I'm going to go with a very dark desaturated brown color. All right, so the next step is we got to look for the color of that shirt. I think we could go a little bit more towards the reds and bring it all the way up in brightness. Now you might be asking, is it time to start adding some shadows? And you would be wrong. It is time now to start adding some shadows. So I want you to go back and observe your reference. Try to find a general color for the shadows, one single flat color. Now when you zoom in, you're going to see a lot of different hues, right? You're going to see blues, you're going to see oranges, but don't worry about that and try to find one unifying color. So for me, I think from the light value, we should go a little bit more towards the reds. We should change this color, bring it down a little bit more, and maybe we can get something like that. Now, again, if you're not sure how to do this process, I was once upon a time in the same boat as you. Everybody has to start somewhere. So take your eyedropper tool, go back into the shadows, see if you can find that shadow color, right? Try to observe where it is on the hue spectrum, try to observe where it is on the saturation spectrum, but when you actually go to apply that color, don't use the eyedropper tool. Now in this part of the process, once we've escaped from the flat colors, we're starting to add shadows and depth to our drawing. You want to identify where the light source is coming from. This is very important to anything that you're going to render. In this reference, he is being lit by the sunlight coming in this direction. How do I know this? Because if you look at surfaces like his shoulder, for example, the light reaches this surface and the shadow falls on this surface. So that means the light, since it travels in a straight line, is going to be coming from here, and there's going to be a fall off of light here as we venture into the shadows. So I'm going to start a new layer, create a clipping mask, and in this layer, we're going to be adding some shadows. Just use a simple hard edge brush. I'm using a round brush here, okay? Don't be afraid of contrast. Don't be afraid to push the darks and pull the lights. See, I'm just applying these very simple shapes to the areas where I see shadow. Just try to make it as simple as possible, almost like a 2D animation, right? Only one light value and one dark value. So we're taking this shadow color, bringing it down to the arm, just doing the same thing that we did on the face. And just like that, now you have a super simplified graphic man. Now you can adjust the colors here based on your personal preferences. I personally want the shadow to be a little bit brighter, maybe a little bit more saturated, just like so. Again, personal style. Now we're going to move on to the shirt and the hair. We're going to repeat the exact same process. We're going to take this hair color. I'm going to try to find an even darker, more saturated color and add that into the areas where I see more shadow. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but now the hair feels a lot more three-dimensional, and I've only followed where the shadows and lights fall on the hair. I'm not trying to create that texture of hair just yet. I'm just trying to apply the right colors to the right places. Don't overwhelm yourself, all right? Don't do too much at once. It's just like starting a new drawing. If you have one drawing going on, make sure you try to finish that drawing before you start another one. Right, now I'm going to take a bluish color here, maybe a little bit lighter than that, and I will apply that into the shadow for the t-shirt. And there you go. If you've been following along with me, you should have something similar to this. And now you know how to color your drawings. For the rest of this video, check out my Patreon, and I'll see you guys on the... I'm just kidding, guys. I won't abandon you like that. I'll go to the grocery store, I'll get my milk, but I'll always come back. So this is how I like to work, all right? Now that we have two colors in each section, I like to start adding more colors. So 2 colors is going to turn into 4, and that 4 might turn into more. Oh my god, bars. Jesus. Call me Kendrick. Sam does rap. I want you to look at your reference. Where are the glowing highlights on this beautiful man's face? So I'm seeing a little bit right here on the cheekbone. That's pretty bright. I'm seeing a little bit here on the neck. There's certain areas here on the nose, on the mouth area that also seems a little bit brighter than the rest. Maybe a little bit of highlights on the shoulder, a little bit on the back of the arm. So we're going to take this color. All right, we're going to shift the hue a little bit more towards the yellow. Make sure you're shifting the hue according to how you see it in your reference photo, okay? Don't always go towards the yellows. In some cases, you might be going towards the blues. I'm going to start a new layer, and I'm going to apply this highlight.
जितना मैं सीखा बस सीख लिया काम होगा अब मज़ा आएगा start with base color. Minasan Tosko. Mm. 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 That was my fail.